Good morning everyone, or good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me here. It's a real pleasure to be able to be here in Hull and be able to talk to you all about the Offshore Wind Growth Partnership, which is a new initiative, relatively new, that's being delivered by Catapult. And it's all about helping companies to become more involved with the offshore wind sector. So for those that don't know me, my name's Claire Canning and I program manage this Offshore Wind Growth Partnership. And this just talks a little bit about what I'm going to talk through today. So I'll give you a brief introduction into what the programme's about, some of the early activity that we've been running at the moment, some of the opportunities that are available. We've got some pilot funding calls that are open just now, and some of the other activities that we're doing in terms of strategic capability assessments and what's next for the programme and how can you get involved. And then if I've got time at the end, I want to talk about another initiative that Catapult has launched recently called the Launch Academy. It's another opportunity for companies and for SMEs to get involved in the sector. Okay, so for those of you that are not aware, and I think, so I missed the offshore wind session yesterday where I think the Offshore Wind Growth Partnership was mentioned. So apologies if I am repeating some of that information, but hopefully that gives you a flavour and I'll give you a little bit more detail. So the programme was set up as part of the offshore wind sector deal, and it's to help industry deliver some of those commitments to get to 60% content, UK content by 2030. So to really help UK businesses get more involved in the sector and see where those opportunities can be. So working with industry, working with government to achieve some of those commitments. It's really all about trying to increase UK competitiveness in the supply chain, as I say, to increase that UK content, and also to see where the opportunities are to increase exports and tap into the opportunities in global markets as well. So the programme is actually funded completely by industry, so the Offshore Wind Industry Council, and it comes from projects that are successful projects awarded CFD. So we get a certain percentage of that funding that developers get, and it goes directly into supporting the supply chain. So in terms of the delivery, the programme is looking to do, we've got a budget of 100 million over 10 years, which sounds like a lot, but actually when you break it down over 10 years, it's actually not that much money. So we're looking to see where we can maximise that money and leverage other opportunities, other funding opportunities as well across the UK to maximise that impact. So we're looking to do three sort of key things across the life cycle of the programme. We're looking to do some analysis and some insights to see what the current landscape looks like in terms of the supply chain and how we actually cater to the sector. So we're looking to do strategic capability assessments in different focus areas across the supply chain, looking at foundations, O&M, turbines, installation, all different areas to see what the current capability is and what we need to do to ramp up to make the 30 gigawatt by 2030 and beyond. Also looking to enable access to some specialist and expert support services to supply chain companies to help them improve their business competitiveness, and also to give innovation grants, so to help SMEs and innovative companies to bring new products and services to the sector. So we're looking, in terms of delivery of the programme, we've got those sort of three key things that we're looking to do. So as I say, the programme is funded by industry, but it's being delivered by Catapult. So who can get involved? Basically everyone. People who currently already work in the offshore wind sector, they're looking to win more work, improve their competitiveness, looking to do more technology innovation. We're here to help those existing companies. We want to help with job creation. As I say, we want to see where the opportunities are, not just in the UK, because there's a lot going on in the UK, but what's happening in other markets as well, and how can we help build a business case for companies and help push them into other markets. One of the key focuses as well is to see how we can develop more UK-owned IP and how can we exploit that. And a key thing as well, which I guess is a big part of this conference, is looking at where the cross-sector opportunities are. So how can we tap into other successful sectors like oil and gas, nuclear, any other sector, bringing in those skills, capability and experience into offshore wind, so seeing where those opportunities are as well. So we're looking to support registered companies through a series of different interventions. I already mentioned some of the types of work that we're looking to do. And since the programme was launched back in June, late June this year, we've had approximately 300 companies register on the portal. So I'll put the details up after the presentation, but I would absolutely recommend that you, if you haven't done so already, to register, because then it gives us an opportunity to email you when funding opportunities come about or when we launch reports and publications. So that's one of the mechanisms to how we can deliver this programme. But also we're looking to do this through reach via the different offshore wind clusters. And I've got a map of the clusters here, and these are key delivery vehicles for us in terms of pushing the message out for the Growth Partnership, communicating the opportunities, and actually getting companies involved as well. So obviously I've got the Humber on there. It's a really key cluster for us, and I'm delighted to be here. And I've got colleagues that work with Catapult as well, actually based here in the Humber, these four gents over here. So if you've got any questions about other activities going on in Catapult, then please do speak to them. And from here, I'm going up to Newcastle to the northeast to talk about some of the opportunities there. So there's a lot going on, and if it wasn't for the clusters and all the exciting opportunities going across these different regions, then we wouldn't be able to deliver this programme. And in addition to clusters, we're also engaging directly with OIC members as well. So we've got an industry reference group that are represented on our board, and it just makes sure that as key stakeholders, as our funders, that this programme really delivers what industry are looking for. So it means that we can understand what the industry's priorities are in terms of innovation, for example, what they're looking to do, what are their requirements, and how do we then use the programme to make sure we're selecting the right companies and taking them through the programme to meet real industry priorities. This is what the team looks like so far. So we've got our OWGP board that is chaired by Mark Whitmarsh, who you might recognise as a name from last year, who's involved in doing the supply chain reviews, part of the offshore wind sector on behalf of OIC. We've also got Steve Bergen, Zoe Barnes and Richard Turner as well. So a real mix of backgrounds and skills there. So the last few board meetings they've had have been very interesting, good discussion. And we've also got representatives from Renewable UK and Catapult on that board as well. So it's well represented. And in terms of the team, so myself, Programme Manager, and I report directly into Andy McDonald, who's Programme Director, who some of you might know. And we've also got Project Manager Heather, and we are currently recruiting for another Programme Manager as well. So if you are interested in that, please let me know. We need all the help we can get as the programme is developing quite rapidly. And as I say, we're sort of delivering this programme as well through our regional resource across the different clusters as well. So up in the north of Scotland, Glasgow, where we're headquartered, the northeast, Hull, Humber, and in East Anglia as well, where we're also recruiting. So just for those that are not aware of the programme, for those of you who are, you've probably seen this slide a million times, and I apologise for that. But the Growth Partnership is really split into four key strands of activity. Strand A is the collaborating for growth strand, and there's basically £150 million worth of activity going directly into this strand, but it's led by the developers, and it's how they engage with their supply chain through the supply chain plans as part of the different projects. So I've been getting a couple of questions recently, what's happening with Strand A and how can we engage more with the developers? And there's ongoing discussions just now between OIC and the Growth Partnership to see how we can bring that all together. So at the moment, still ongoing discussions in how that programme is going to be led. Strand B is one of the biggest parts of the programme. It's all about driving business competitiveness, helping companies to become more competitive, understanding what some of the challenges are and how we can actually support. So whether that's giving them access to funding, access to expert support services, and structured business improvement programs as well. So that's currently being developed. Building new capacity is Strand C, And that strand is really all about increasing the breadth of supply chain by bringing in some of those skills, capability and experience from other sectors. So tapping into what's been done in oil and gas, automotive, aerospace and nuclear, seeing what's done well and what hasn't done so well, and what can we pick and work with these other sectors to maximise the impact here. And supply chain futures is really that sort of innovation strand that runs through the programme, which is all about helping companies bring new products and services to the sector. So thinking about what do we need to do to in terms of the current operational fleet, what do we need to do in terms of O&M, and then when we think about the next generation of wind farms that's going to be built in 2023, 24, 25, what are those turbines going to look like, what are the challenges going to be, and how can we make sure we're ready to supply that exciting sector as it grows and develops. So in terms of opportunities, we have launched 2 pilot calls in October, one for Strand B, one for Strand D. And I'll talk a little bit about the calls, but I guess the timing of this isn't great because the calls actually close tomorrow. So if you weren't actually aware of these calls, I know it doesn't give you much time to get involved, but I will say that these are just the pilot funding calls. So we're looking to have a whole ongoing chain of funding calls early next year. So this is just our pilot calls to see what kind of uptake we get, how it goes, and then we'll be able to run more funding calls throughout. So in terms of business competitiveness, so the focus of this call is looking at how to introduce innovation in manufacturing and fabrication. So we're looking to speak to UK companies that have manufacturing and fabrication facilities to see, what could you do better? How can you explore new ways of working, bringing in advanced manufacturing techniques to improve your competitiveness? And also, what we're looking to do as well is kind of match these companies up with key delivery partners. And key delivery partners are companies like consultancies, expert support services, advanced manufacturing or advisory services and things like that can actually go in and help these companies explore where the opportunities are to bring in new innovations. The second call is targeting next generation products and services, and this is, I think, I'll come on to it, but that call is specifically looking at Internet of Things, advanced sensors and communication solutions for offshore wind. So it's a very broad topic, but looking at innovative techniques to support the sector. So diving a little bit down deeper into that first call, so as I say, it's to encourage and support companies to explore new ways of working, new ways of new methods for manufacturing, helping to improve productivity and helping to drive down costs. We'll enable companies to access specialist support to overcome particular challenges that they might have that can't be solved by the company themselves. So it's a sort of enabling exercise as well. And the total pot of funding for this call is 200,000. So we had a total pot of £400,000 to run pilot calls. So we're allocating 200k to the business competitiveness strand. And there's a lot more information on the website, or you can come speak to me if you want to quickly get an application in. We would welcome and encourage that. This is the innovation call. So advanced sensors, Internet of Things and communication solutions for offshore wind. So encouraging companies to think about what those challenges are in terms of offshore communications and how we can work to solve some of these. As I say, it's pretty broad, but we're looking to help develop new innovative technology and try and develop new UK-based IP. And these are sort of some of the solutions that we're looking for: sensors for data communications, satellites, data logging, data analytics, pre-processing, and thinking about sort of immersive content as well, like virtual reality and things like that. So very innovative. And similar to the call, with the funding pot for that call is £200,000. And this is the application process. So we're just asking companies to go on and register. All the information can be found online. It's just one application form, one finance summary, and an opportunity to enclose an appendix as well, and to send that on to the mailbox by tomorrow, if you're quick. And in addition to the funding, what we're wanting to do as well is make sure that we have a very sort of open and transparent process when it comes to assessing these funding calls. They'll be peer reviewed by independent external assessors. So we've also got an open call at the moment as well for individuals to apply for that external assessor role. We're looking to recruit a pool, a database of UK-based assessors with technical expertise, experience and skills to ensure that we're taking the best projects forward. So that's another opportunity as well. That's open at the moment. And I'm going to say that the call will close on the 7th of November, tomorrow. But I would say if it's something that's of interest to you, please do get in touch, because we're looking to recruit assessors on an ongoing basis and make sure that we've got a good database and good pool of assessors there. So please come and speak to me if that's something that's of interest. And again, more information can be found on the website. So that's the pilot funding calls. I talked a little bit about the strategic capability assessments as well, and how we can support that work and those commitments to achieving 60% UK content. So part of what we have been tasked to do, supporting some of the other work streams that have come out of the sector deal, is to look at what that roadmap to 60% looks like. So we're trying to understand, by assessing different areas of the supply chain, where the UK is strong and where the gaps are, and what can we do to close those gaps. So we're trying to identify where the strong growth areas are, capability, capacity, competitiveness and market attractiveness as well. So at the moment we've got ongoing work on the foundations piece. We started that in June. That was brought forward due to some political agenda, I guess, that there was quite a lot of focus on foundations. So we've got a report that's going to be published, I believe, in Offshore Wind Week, so towards the end of November. The draft has been done and has gone to our board for approval. Then the next strategic capability assessment is on turbines. So we would welcome any input into that, so where we can understand where the UK, where the capability is and where the gaps, what do we need to do basically in terms of turbines. That will be the next sort of big piece of work that we focus on. And I've just put that chart in that was taken from the industrial prospectus, the Offshore Wind Industrial Prospectus that was published last year. And it breaks down some of those supply chain areas and to see, what the estimated annual value of each of these components looks like in 2016 and in 2030, and what we need to do to get there. And you can see that, for most of them other than O&M, the UK content is relatively small. So we really want to pick some key areas and see where we can really achieve high growth and achieve that 60% content. This is just a little bit more detail about the foundations piece that my colleague Gavin Smart has been working on. As I say, it's a sort of evidence-based piece, looking at what industry capability is versus the market attractiveness, looking at some of the benefits and barriers for supply chain growth within a specific sector. So this is what the report will look like. He's been doing a lot of work going out and interviewing different manufacturers, fabricators, different areas of the supply chain as well. So there was a lot of quite a detailed analytical piece there, and so please let me know if it's something you're interested in. If you'd like to feed into that, we might be able to still take some input. And as I said, that I think has been published in Offshore Wind Week. And that just talks about the scope and the planned timeline for that piece of work, which I've already kind of talked about. So in terms of what's next, so we've got the pilot calls that are closing this week. We've got the strategic capability assessments that's going to be ongoing. One of the key things that we're kind of looking to do next is around the business competitiveness strand, and it's tapping into some existing supply chain programs in other sectors that actually sort of structured programs of business improvement that have actually enabled companies to be successful in winning work in different sectors. So that's going to be the next big focus, I think, for us in the near term, how we can do something like that in addition to analysis, in addition to funding calls, so that we're doing something a little bit different than what's already available. Because obviously there's Innovate UK providing innovation funding. We don't want to just replicate what's already doing, what's already ongoing. We want to do something a little bit different. So this shows a little bit of some of the programs that we've been looking at and some of the people that we've actually spoken to. And it kind of shows the intensity of some of these programs versus the cost. So one of the things that we're quite keen to explore is sharing and growth, which is an intensive and ambitious business transformation program that's been very successful in the aerospace sector. And it involves, I think it's embedding people from the company, experts, embedding experts into supply chain companies, understanding what their specific challenges are, and over a period of 3 to 4 years actually working with that company to transform and helping them to become more successful. So it's very intensive and it's very costly, but in terms of using the funds coming into the growth partnership, we want to see where the balance is, how we can really maximise impact, and maybe that is doing some really big intense programmes in addition to something a bit smaller scale. Also NMCL, which is the National Manufacturing Competitiveness Level. So that's another structured business support programme that's been successful in aerospace and automotive. Trying to understand what's been going on there and how can we bring that into offshore wind. Something that's similar to sharing growth, but a little bit less intense, a little bit less costly. And then also in terms of sort of foundation level support, something that's less intense, we are exploring the Fit for Nuclear programme, and I actually mentioned to Emma Jane earlier. So this is a programme that's been very successful in helping UK companies get into the nuclear manufacturing industry, helping with operations and decommissioning as well. And it's a programme that Sellafield actively support in terms of companies that have been granted through this programme, actually helping them to win work in the nuclear industry. So we actually did run a pilot programme of how that programme could be adapted for offshore renewables. Catapult had some funding from Scottish Government to run a pilot in Scotland, so we took 20 to 25 companies through a sort of pilot phase of Fit for Offshore Renewables. We're still working to deliver that, but it was quite interesting to see how we can actually adapt an existing programme and make it applicable for the offshore wind sector. And if you're looking for more information on that programme and getting involved, so as I understand it, they're going to run a national programme for offshore renewables, so already successful in Scotland. So if you'd like to find out more, let me know and I can pass you to the right people within Catapult to find out more about that. So these are sort of different levels of programmes, different levels of intensity that we would like to explore more. And then in addition to that, we've got sort of direct support in terms of innovation grants like Innovate UK and NATEP, and advisory services as well. So there's different things that we want to bring to the programme to make it a little bit different from what's already existing. And this is just a sort of something we put together as a sort of overview of what these programmes might look like. So we've got different processes. You've got your sort of funding calls that have been launched, and then early next year we would like to launch these business improvement programmes at varying intensity. So at some point, either later this year or early 2020, we'll be looking to ask companies to express interest if it's something that you might be interested in, whether you're a large company or an SME, and see if we can actually provide some support in terms of something that's a bit more structured. And then also that strand C, that building new capacity, we're developing activities as well as how we can do more of that cross-sector work. And working with some of the regional clusters and LEPs to see if we can leverage the funds available from OWGP with some regional growth funds as well. This is what the website looks like, so if you are interested, please just click that registration, the yellow registration button there, and I'll be able to keep you updated as the programme develops. All information on the funding calls is on there as well, so please do check that out. And if I've got time, very, very quickly, I just wanted to mention this Launch Academy that the Catapult have just launched. It's being run by my colleague Andrew Tipping, and it's a programme basically to help SMEs equip them with different aspects of the different business aspects that you need to be successful in the sector. So it's taking on one cohort per year of up to 4 to 8 companies and taking you through a series of modules delivered by Catapult and some of the partners as well. And then, so we've basically got at the moment, 2 industry partners, but I believe that there's more coming on board to actually specify some real industry challenges. Catapult helping to support, Barclays Bank, we've got accountancy support there, legal support, Murgatroyd to provide IP and patent advice as well, and Green Angel Syndicate as well. So we've got some investors interested in that as well. So it's a 9-month programme, various different modules and different levels of support. And after that 9 months, hoping that you'll be able to deliver cost reduction, improve UK content, and basically it's just there to enhance supply chain as well. So these are just some of the challenges that have been launched from Red Rock Power, who are an offshore wind developer, and obviously Siemens Gamesa. So if you are interested in that, I'll put you in touch with Andrew Tipping, just let you know, and you can also access the challenges on that one as well. So deadline for that one is the 3rd of December. And another reason I put it up here is because any companies coming through the growth partnership, whether it's through a funding call or whatever it may be, that are not successful, we'll be looking to see what the other opportunities are as well. So if you're not successful in the Strand D call, we might see if there is any synergies with the Launch Academy, and seeing if we could put you forward for something like that. So there are different opportunities, and we work together to see where the synergies are. And that just shows a little bit of the varying levels of programme content. I think I've gone on a little bit long, so I'm happy to bring it to a close there, and happy to take any questions. Sorry, it was quite a long talk.